Good afternoon.
Namaste. My name is Celia.
Hi, Celia.
And my experience is that at the times when I've had the clearest experience of being that, pure consciousness, total silence, it's not emptiness. It's very full and dynamic.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a whole nother world down there, you could say.
Emptiness simply refers to there's nothing you can grasp. It doesn't refer to the experiential quality of it. Fullness is the experiential quality of emptiness. See what I mean?
Right.
So I
I've had that
you.
experience too, where there's no content,
Yes.
but there's an experience of fullness.
Yes.
But sometimes I even have an experience where there are things
Yeah.
there. Like I'll give a couple of examples.
Good.
I had an experience where I transcended very, very deeply and silently and just total stillness. And then I turned into Shiva. And with all the details, you know, just like you see in the posters.
Yeah, that archetype. Yeah.
And yet simultaneously I was witnessing, and then there was a third level of me still being my small self. So I seem to exist simultaneously on 3 levels.
Oh, a lot more than that. But we'll go with 3, sure. 3 for sure.
And then another experience I had where I was in a room with a lot of people, sitting very quietly, listening to my guru speaking. And suddenly, I was just totally, my mind was just inactive. I was still perceiving everything, because in that time my eyes were open, whereas in the previous one my eyes were closed. I was meditating. And then it's almost like, you know, in the transcendent, a window kind of opens up, and there I am on this completely super fluid level where I'm acting and interacting with other people. At the time it happened, it seemed very simple and natural. And yet, I guess the question I'm having is, you know, I see you sitting here on the material level, an enlightened man, and I'm thinking, are you experiencing, like, you know, all these other levels simultaneously? When we're enlightened...
Good Lord, no.
When someone is enlightened, is it natural to be... have your awareness being able to perceive and exist simultaneously on many, many levels in an effortless, natural way?
Not really. Because one can do that without being enlightened.
So you
can go all sorts to this dimension and that dimension and this and this and this and this. You can do all that stuff and still...
not be enlightened.
No.
Yeah, like me. I mean, I had those experiences, but I'm not enlightened.
Yeah. Well, the point is that enlightenment isn't. This isn't to demean the experiences. Any experience, whether it's, you know, a transcendent experience or just a daily chopping the vegetables experience, but enlightenment isn't itself an experience.
It's the coexistence of the being with whatever else.
I think it's better off to leave it undefined. It's not itself an experience. You see, there is all those experiences within it. Every experience is within it. Every experience is available within it. But in and of itself, it's not an experience. It's not a spiritual experience any more than it's any other experience. But neither is it separate from any experience.
So it's not that you're silent consciousness is witnessing the material world?
Well, that's certainly happening, yes.
How do you know you're enlightened?
I'm not enlightened.
Okay, it is just the awareness.
Reality wakes up.
Reality is there.
Reality wakes, when
365.
reality wakes up, it's self-confirming. You know, like when you wake up in the morning, you don't usually, nudge the person next to you and go, honey, am I actually awake? Or, I mean, if you've had a rough night of dreaming, you might, occasionally, but in general, do you know what I mean?
And then along with that, when I'm having those experiences where I seem to be existing on many levels, but the predominant experience is silence and unboundedness. There's also can be thinking going on.
There can be thinking, of course.
But it doesn't seem like the egoic mind that's thinking. It seems like being is thinking.
Being can think, absolutely.
Now, how is that possible? So then, is it that we're tuned into the mind of God at that time?
You want me to explain all this? This isn't explainable. I mean, I know lots of people will be more than happy to explain all this, but in the end, what you're then left with is just a framework. And it's like any time I've ever explained anything, I'll always kind of have this distinct impression, including everything I've said today. Underlying it is, that's not it. That's not quite it. Pretty good, not quite. That's why I always say the job of a teacher is to fail well. You're going to fail at this, I'm going to fail at talking about this. Okay? It's the very effort to understand it all that keeps it seemingly much more complicated than it is.
Yeah,
See,
at the time,
enlightenment is nothing more than, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. I don't need to go anywhere. This is it. This is it. I've been looking for enlightenment. I've been in enlightenment. Swimming in it. Looking at it, feeling it, touching it, hearing it, tasting it, eating it, drinking it, sitting on it. And there's really no way to explain that, is there? But that's what it is. That this is it. I was always looking somewhere else, right? In this place or that place, in this dimension, that dimension, somewhere always. And of course, when you go looking in other places, you can always find things, right? There's many, 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 many things you can place, because consciousness is infinitely subtle and infinitely pliable, and it can become anything you want it to, right? You want it to become Shiva? There you go. Shiva, archetype. And you can experience that, and you can be Shiva, and you can feel it and all that. And then it can go, okay, nice. You want me to become something else? Out of thin air. A tree, a mountain, a god, a devil. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What? What do we want? What do we want it to become? Or just sitting there in the most ordinary moment. Just the most ordinary moment, not just completely ordinary. But suffused with the knowledge that this is it. It can be extraordinary or it can be ordinary. It can appear, to the awakened mind, it no longer has any investment in how reality presents itself. Right? As another dimension, as this dimension, as something extraordinary or something profoundly ordinary. The idea of better or worse or more's over there when it feels that way, you know what I mean? All of that is what drops away. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
And-
in and of itself, it's not an experience, but it can and does become all experiences. Yeah.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to understand is Brahman, which is you can't is not intellectually understandable, but sort of it seemed to be an experience of nothingness and somethingness, totally naturally.
The same.
Yeah, the same and together and
Yes.
simultaneous.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what everything is. This moment is nothing appearing as something. Right? This moment is, that's what it is. It's nothing appearing as something. And the something is rich and full and diverse, but it's nothing appearing as something, or nothing appearing as everything. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Nice to talk with you. Okay.